You know what the weird part about money is? Most people spend their entire lives looking for it in all the wrong places. They're chasing paychecks, they're grinding in cubicles, they're stressed about the economy. But meanwhile, there are people, regular people, who are literally growing wealth in their backyards right now. And I'm not talking about some get-rich-quick scheme. I'm talking about real plants, real money. Here's what blows my mind. While everyone's fighting over commodity crops that barely break even, there are 15 plants that could be growing in your backyard right now that are generating serious cash. I'm talking about plants that sell for $20, $50, even $100 per pound. Plants that restaurants will pay you to grow. Plants that people are literally waiting lists for. And the best part? Most people have never even heard of them. So stick around because number 1 is literally a magic fruit that changes how food tastes, and it's worth serious money. Number 4 is so rare that collectors travel across countries just to get one. And number 15? Well, number 15 is the plant that literally walks itself across your garden and sells like crazy. If you're ready to stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like a grower, hit that subscribe button right now. And comment below, which one of these plants are you most shocked costs money? Let's go.
Number 1, miracleberry, the fruit that changes everything. Let's start with something that sounds fake, but is absolutely real. Miracleberry, Cinsipalum dulcificum. This isn't just a fruit, it's a sensation, it's a phenomenon. Here's what makes it insane. After you eat one of these berries, your taste buds literally change. For about 30 minutes to an hour, everything you taste becomes sweet. Lemons taste like candy, vinegar tastes like apple juice, lime juice becomes dessert. Your brain physically can't register sour or bitter. It's wild. And because of that, this is novelty gold. But it's not just novelty, it's premium novelty. Miracleberry plants sell for $25 to $60 per plant retail. We're talking nursery plant profits right out of the gate. But here's where it gets really interesting. People are paying $8 to $15 for individual berries online. For a single berry. Restaurants are doing flavor tripping events where they charge $30 to $50 per person, and you're the grower supplying those berries. Supplement companies want dried miracleberry. Novelty markets want them. Influencers want them for content. The business reality. The plant is actually pretty easy to grow. It likes warm, humid conditions, and once established, it produces consistently. You could be propagating plants for sale as nursery stock. You could be selling fresh berries to restaurants doing tasting events. You could be dried products, powders, anything. The demand is exploding because people want experiences, and this plant literally creates an experience. Miracleberry got overlooked in mainstream agriculture simply because it sounds too weird to be real. But that weirdness, that's exactly what makes it profitable. It's the fruit that proves sometimes the best money comes from plants that feel impossible until you taste them.
Number 2, Szechuan Pepper, the exotic spice worth its wheat. Now let's jump to something that restaurants are actively hunting for, Szechuan Pepper, Xanthoxylum species. And I need you to understand something right now. This isn't just a spice. This is culinary gold. When you taste Szechuan pepper, something weird happens. It doesn't taste like heat. It creates a physical tingling sensation on your mouth and lips. It's almost like a numbing, buzzing, electric feeling combined with citrus notes. There's literally nothing else like it, and that's why chefs are obsessed. Szechuan cuisine is having a moment. It's everywhere right now. But here's the problem for restaurants. Premium quality Szechuan pepper at the small local level is actually rare. Most of what's available is bulk commodity stuff from import companies, which means if you're growing it and can deliver quality, we're talking $15 to $25 per pound at specialty retail markets. At wholesale, you might see $9 to $12 per pound depending on volume and quality. But here's the important part. A single plant can produce multiple pounds of berries per year. High-end restaurants will buy directly from you. Spice companies need reliable suppliers. Home cooks pursuing authentic Asian cooking are actively searching for the real thing and willing to pay premium prices for quality. Szechuan pepper grows in temperate climates. You don't need tropical conditions. The plant is hardy. Once established, it produces reliably. You harvest the berries, dry them, and you've got a product that literally sells itself to restaurants and specialty food companies. The reason this stayed off most people's radar? It requires some knowledge to harvest and process properly. It's not a commodity crop, but that's exactly what makes it profitable. It's the spice that proves you don't need massive volume when you have passionate, quality-focused customers.
3. Wasabi, the real thing that restaurants need. Here's something that's going to shock you. Most sushi restaurants in America have never served real wasabi in their entire existence. What they're serving is horseradish dyed green. It's not even wasabi. Real wasabi, Wasabia japonica, it's completely different. It's more complex, it's fresher, it's got more subtle heat, and it's expensive. The fresh root sells for $20 to $45 per pound. Restaurants that pride themselves on authenticity will seek you out for this. Here's why this matters. Wasabi is notoriously difficult to grow. It requires very specific conditions: cool temperatures, high humidity, shade, clean running water. Most people think that makes it impossible. That actually makes it opportunity, because most growers won't even try. Most people look at the difficulty and quit before they start. If you have the right conditions or can create them with a greenhouse setup, you're one of maybe a handful of domestic wasabi growers in your entire region. High-end sushi places will pay premium prices for real wasabi. You can also sell the rhizomes as nursery plants to other growers. You can sell fresh, sell dried, sell powdered, multiple revenue streams from the same plant. This is actually a crop where difficulty becomes an advantage. Low supply plus high demand plus serious pricing equals profit. Wasabi got left out of most American agriculture because it's picky, but picky requirements mean limited competition. And limited competition in a market with established demand, that's where serious money lives. It's the route that proves sometimes the hardest plants to grow are the most profitable.
Number 4, vanilla orchid, the luxury crop that's actually growable. Now we're getting into something that sounds impossible, but stay with me. Vanilla. Vanilla planifolia. This is the second most expensive spice on the planet after saffron. Cured vanilla beans sell for $250 to $600 per kilogram. That's genuinely premium territory. A mature vanilla plant produces somewhere between 500 grams to 6 kilograms of cured beans per year. But here's the key. These are cured beans. Fresh beans require an 18-month curing process. That process is where the real value gets created. One mature plant, you're looking at $125 to $3,600 annually, depending on conditions and what you can achieve. But the beautiful part is that one plant can produce for 15 to 20 years, so you're building a long-term income stream, not a one-time harvest. Here's what most people get wrong. They think vanilla only grows in Madagascar. They think you need tropical rainforest conditions. They think it's impossible to cure properly at home. Modern growers are proving all of that wrong. Greenhouses, controlled environments, even creative indoor setups. People are successfully growing vanilla in places it shouldn't theoretically work. The vanilla market is desperate for domestic supply. Every major food company uses vanilla. Coffee shops, bakeries, craft ice cream makers, they're all hunting for quality vanilla at a reasonable price. Imported vanilla comes with shipping costs, quality variability, and supply chain uncertainty. You could be solving that problem locally. Yes, vanilla is incredibly picky. Hand pollination, specific humidity, the curing process, it's genuinely complex. But that complexity, that's your protection. Low competition means you're not racing against industrial producers. Vanilla plants themselves sell for $15 to $30 as nursery stock. Cured pods command premium prices from small batch food companies and specialty retailers. You could be building a genuine niche business. The reason vanilla intimidates people is because it seems too difficult and too specialized. But that difficulty is actually profit protection. It's the orchid that proves the hardest crops to grow often create the best business opportunities because so few people will even try.
Number 5, tea plant, the crop that sells every single harvest. Let's shift gears to something that produces year-round, Camellia sinensis, the tea plant. People spend billions on tea every day. Tea is literally the second most consumed beverage on the planet after water. The tea plant that produces all that tea is actually pretty easy to grow in many climates, and you can start selling within months. Fresh tea leaves, we're talking young, tender leaves harvested at the right time, sell for $15 to $30 per pound dried. But here's what most people miss. The real money isn't in selling dried leaves to the commodity market, it's in creating experience. Home tea enthusiasts will pay premium prices for small batch, single origin tea from their local grower. You could be selling to restaurants that want locally grown tea for their menu. You could be doing tea tasting events. You could be creating specific blends and selling direct to consumers for $20 to $50 per ounce. A single mature tea plant can produce multiple harvests per year. One plant could generate hundreds of dollars annually once you've got the system dialed in. The business reality: the tea plant grows like a shrub. It's hardy. It produces reliably. The leaves are literally harvested multiple times per year: spring harvest, summer harvest, fall harvest. Each harvest can be different quality, different flavor profiles, different price points. The reason tea plants aren't everywhere is cultural. Americans didn't traditionally grow tea commercially. But the craft tea movement has completely changed that equation. People want local, authentic, traceable tea. You could be exactly what they're looking for. It's the plant that proves consistent year-round production is its own form of gold.
Number 6, artichokes, the luxury vegetable with premium pricing. Okay, now let's talk about something that looks familiar but makes seriously unfamiliar money: artichokes. Regular artichokes from the grocery store, they're commodity. But specialty artichokes, fresh from a local grower, they're a completely different market. Italian heirloom artichokes, purple varieties, baby artichokes, these sell for $4 to $8 per artichoke at farmers markets, sometimes more. A single mature artichoke plant can produce 15 to 20 artichokes per season. That's $60 to $160 per plant per year. You can have 20, 50, 100 plants depending on space. Suddenly you're looking at real money from a humble vegetable. Restaurants will pay premium prices for consistent quality and unique varieties they can't get anywhere else. Farmers markets are hungry for premium artichokes. Online markets for specialty vegetables are booming. Artichokes are perennials. They come back year after year. The plant is tough. The market is established. You're not competing with commodity artichoke farms in California. You're competing in a completely different market where people actively want local and unique. Artichokes got overlooked as a premium product simply because they're so visible as a normal vegetable. But visibility to the mass market doesn't mean premium market value. It's the vegetable that proves sometimes the most profitable crops are the familiar ones sold in the unfamiliar places. Number 7, purple ube, the trending root that's actually profitable. Quick pivoting to a trend that's actually backed by real money. Purple ube, Dioscorea alata, purple variety. You've seen ube everywhere lately, right? Purple ube donuts, ube ice cream, ube lattes. It's trendy as hell. Ube is a starchy root crop that produces purple tubers absolutely packed with antioxidants and nutrients. It tastes slightly sweet, almost nutty. People are obsessed with it. And here's the key. Most ube in the market is imported, most of it, which means if you're growing it domestically, the money angle. Fresh ube tubers sell for $8 to $15 per pound at specialty markets. But the real money is in selling to food manufacturers. Ube powder companies need supply. Bakeries doing ube products need fresh tubers. Health food companies need it. The demand is real and it's growing. A single mature ube plant can produce 8 to 15 pounds of tubers per year. You're looking at $64 to $225 per plant annually. Scale that to 50 plants and suddenly you've got serious income. The business reality: ube is actually pretty easy to grow in warm climates. It's a vine that climbs so it doesn't take up tons of space. Once established, it produces reliably. You can sell tubers fresh, sell to processors, sell as seed pieces to other growers. Ube got hot because social media made it visible, but the money's real because the market is backed by serious food companies and enthusiastic consumers. It's the route that proves sometimes you can ride a trend and make genuine money from it. Number 8, finger lime, the gourmet fruit that looks like caviar. Let me introduce you to something that's going to blow your mind when you see it. Finger lime, Citrus australasica. Imagine a small, finger-sized citrus fruit. Cut it open, and instead of regular lime segments, you get these perfectly round, jewel-like juice vesicles that literally look like caviar. That's finger lime. And chefs absolutely lose their minds for it. When we say gourmet fruit, we're talking about the kind of thing that shows up on the plate of a $500 per person restaurant. Finger lime is that. It's the garnish, the element, the wow moment. A single fruit brings maybe $3 to $6 at retail, but restaurants will order by the box. A single mature finger lime tree produces 50 to 100 fruits per year.
That's $150 to $600 from one tree. You can have 5, 10, 20 trees. You're looking at serious income from a relatively small space. Finger lime trees themselves are valuable nursery stock. Selling rooted cuttings or grafted trees, $20 to $50 each. You could be selling plants and fruit from the same operation. Restaurants will literally wait lists for finger limes. They're that desired. You could have direct relationships with high-end restaurants, chefs, specialty food suppliers. Finger lime grows in subtropical and warm temperate climates. It's hardy. It produces reliably. The market is small but extremely lucrative. You're not selling to commodity markets. You're selling to people who care about quality and are willing to pay. Finger lime got overlooked simply because it's not native to most places and requires some knowledge. But that's scarcity, that's profit. It's the fruit that proves sometimes the most money comes from plants most people have never even seen.
Number 9, Pawpaw, the native fruit with a cult following. Now, let's talk about something that's been in North America for thousands of years, but most people have never heard of. Pawpaw, Ocimina triloba. Pawpaw is a native North American fruit that tastes like a combination of banana, mango, and melon. It's creamy, it's rich, it's absolutely delicious. And there's a genuinely dedicated community of pawpaw enthusiasts who are actively hunting for high-quality fruit and interesting varieties. The money angle. Pawpaw fruit sells for $30 to $50 per pound at specialty markets. Pawpaw plants themselves, $25 to $60 per tree. Pawpaw trees produce hundreds of pounds of fruit once mature. The smart angle. The pawpaw market is limited. There's not a huge supply chain, which means direct-to-consumer sales are your friend. Farmers markets, online fruit subscriptions, restaurants doing local and heritage menus. A single mature pawpaw tree produces 30 to 100 pounds of fruit per year, depending on the variety. That's $900 to $5,000 from one tree. You can definitely have more than one. Pawpaw trees are actually pretty low maintenance. They like shade, which means you can grow them under existing trees. The fruit is seasonal, which actually works in your favor for premium pricing. When something's only available for a few months, that's luxury positioning. You could also be selling grafted trees to other growers and enthusiasts who want specific high-producing varieties. Pawpaw got overlooked in modern agriculture because it's not showy, it's not flashy, it's not grown commercially at scale, but that actually makes it perfect for small-scale growers. It's the fruit that proves heritage crops are having a genuine renaissance, and people will pay seriously for them. Number 10, Saffron Crocus, the most expensive spice on earth. All right, let's go to the absolute peak. Saffron, Crocus sativus. Saffron is the most expensive spice on the planet, not close. Currently, a pound of high-quality saffron ranges from about $3,000 to $10,000, depending on grade and whether you're buying wholesale or retail. Premium grades can push higher. That's because each crocus flower produces exactly 3 tiny red stigmas, and those stigmas must be hand-harvested. A pound requires roughly 75,000 flowers. Now, before you think, okay, that's impossible, stay with me. A single mature crocus bulb produces 1 flower per year, so 1 plant equals roughly 3 stigmas, equals part of the value. But here's the thing, you don't need massive production to make serious money. You could have 500 crocus bulbs. That's 500 flowers. That's 1,500 stigmas, which is about 1/50th of a pound. But that 1/50th of a pound is worth roughly $60 to $200, depending on quality. And that's from a small garden bed that requires minimal maintenance once established. Scale that thoughtfully, and suddenly you've got multiple thousands of dollars annually. Plus, saffron bulbs multiply. What's 500 bulbs this year could be 5,000 next year. You're building compounding wealth from something that literally grows underground. The business reality. Here's what most people miss. You don't need to compete with Iran's massive saffron operations. You're selling premium saffron, organic, locally grown, certified, traceable. Food companies, restaurants, home cooks, they'll pay premium prices for quality, real saffron. You could be supplying specialty spice companies. You could be selling direct to consumer as luxury threads. You could be creating saffron-infused products. The market for authentic, verified saffron is hungry. The reason saffron seems impossible is the labor component. You have to hand harvest the stigmas. Yes, that's true, but the pricing is high because of that labor intensity, which means your time investment is actually well compensated. Saffron is the spice that proves sometimes the most valuable crops require the most attention, and the market rewards that attention generously.
Number 11, Yacon, the root that tastes like candy. Let me introduce you to something weird that's actually delicious. Yacon, Smelanthus sanchisfolius. Yacon is a South American root crop that tastes almost exactly like a cross between an apple and a watermelon. It's sweet, it's crunchy, it's got this unique flavor that literally nothing else has. And it's got a growing market because it's low in calories, high in fiber, and absolutely addictive. You can eat Yacon fresh like an apple. You can cook it, you can make syrup from it. People are discovering it and they want more. Fresh Yacon rhizomes sell for $8 to $15 per pound. But here's the play. Yacon syrup is a natural sweetener that's blowing up in the health food space. It sells for $20 to $40 per bottle. You can make syrup from your crop and sell direct to consumer for markup that dwarfs selling raw Yacon. A single mature Yacon plant produces 4 to 8 pounds of rhizomes per year. You're looking at $32 to $120 from one plant. But if you process it into syrup, you're looking at hundreds of dollars per plant. Yacon is incredibly easy to grow. It's hardy, it's not fussy. Once you establish a bed, it produces reliably. The plant also creates offshoots so you can propagate new plants from your existing crop. You could be selling fresh rhizomes to farmers markets, you could be making and selling Yacon syrup online, you could be selling root divisions to other growers. The reason Yacon isn't everywhere is simply that most people have never heard of it, but that's changing. It's the root that proves sometimes the best crops are the ones people are actively discovering right now.
12. Elderberry, the medicinal shrub that prints money. Now let's talk about something that's sitting at the intersection of food, medicine, and trend. Elderberry, Sambucus nigra. Elderberry has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, but in the last 5 years, it's absolutely exploded. Elderberry syrup, elderberry gummies, elderberry tea, elderberry extract. The market is massive and it's still growing. Research is backing up what traditional herbalists have always known. Elderberry supports immune function, which means in a world where people care about immunity, elderberry is valuable. Fresh elderberry sell for $12 to $20 per pound, but processed, syrup, tinctures, dried, the markup is huge. An elderberry shrub can produce 10 to 20 pounds of berries in a season. That's $120 to $400 raw. But if you process that into syrup, you're looking at $500 to $1,500. A mature elderberry shrub produces for 20 plus years. You're looking at a plant that literally generates income for decades. The business reality: elderberry is a native plant in many regions. It's hardy, it's low maintenance. It produces reliably once established. You can have multiple plants creating a productive berry-generating system. You could sell fresh berries to restaurants and food companies. You could make and sell syrup direct to consumer. You could be supplying supplement companies. Multiple revenue streams from the same crop. The reason elderberry is blowing up now is the intersection of health consciousness and research validation. It's the shrub that proves sometimes trending ingredients can have genuine staying power when they're actually backed by real benefits.
Number 13, Shiso, the Japanese herb making restaurant money. Let's go back to herbs for a moment, specifically a Japanese herb that chefs are actively seeking: Shiso, Perilla frutescens. Shiso is a distinctive Japanese herb used in sushi, as wraps, and pickling as garnish. It's got this unique minty basil flavor that literally nothing else can replicate. And because Japanese and Korean restaurants are opening everywhere, the demand for fresh shiso is increasing dramatically. Fresh shiso sells for $20 to $40 per pound. But more importantly, restaurants will source directly from you if you're growing it nearby. A single mature shiso plant produces tons of leaves across a growing season. You could have 10, 20, 50 plants generating steady supply to restaurants throughout the season. Direct restaurant relationships means consistent orders, premium pricing, and contract-based sales. You could also be selling to specialty grocers, to Asian markets, to food enthusiasts. The business reality: shiso grows vigorously. It's almost aggressive in how much it produces. One plant quickly becomes multiple plants. You harvest leaves multiple times per season. The market is small but established and willing to pay. The reason shiso hasn't been everywhere is cultural. It's not part of traditional American herb growing. But food culture is global now, and restaurants are teaching the market what they want. You could be the supplier they're looking for. It's the herb that proves location matters. If you're in your restaurants looking for Asian ingredients, shiso is your plant.
Number 14, tree collards, the perennial vegetable that produces forever. Let me introduce you to something that might sound boring, but is actually a wealth-generating machine: tree collards, a perennial variety of collard greens. Most people think of collards as an annual,
You plant, you harvest, you replant. Tree collards are different. They're perennial. They keep producing year after year, sometimes for 10+ years without replanting. Fresh collard leaves sell for $2 to $4 per bunch at farmers markets. A single mature tree collard plant produces continuously. You could harvest several bunches per week during the growing season. That's $100 to $200 per plant per year. Tree collards are incredibly productive. One plant can feed a family and generate income. You could have 50, 100, 200 plants. Suddenly you've got serious supply to farmers markets, restaurants, food companies. But here's the really smart angle. You can propagate tree collards from cuttings. Take cuttings from mature plants, root them, sell them as nursery starts for $3 to $8 each. Suddenly you've got a second revenue stream. Tree collards are hardy, they're low maintenance, they produce year-round in many climates. They're nutritious, the market is established, farmers market shoppers love them. You could be selling fresh greens at farmers markets. You could be selling rooted cuttings to other growers. You could be selling to restaurants, multiple streams. Tree collards got overlooked in agriculture because they're not flashy, they're collard greens. But the people who know about them understand they're a perpetual productive system. It's the plant that proves sometimes boring equals profitable.
Number 15, Egyptian walking onion, the plant that literally walks. And now we get to the finale, the plant that literally moves, Egyptian walking onion, Allium cepa var proliferum. This isn't just an onion, it's a living system that grows small bulblets on top of the plant instead of underground like normal onions. Those top-set bulbs are so heavy that they bend the plant over, and when they touch the ground, they take root, and the plant literally walks across your garden. But here's why this actually matters for money. These top-set bulbs are edible. They taste like onions. Restaurants love them because they're unusual and they've got a story. Home gardeners love them because of the novelty. The bulblets sell for premium prices because they're unusual. Home gardeners will buy small starts for $5 to $10 each. Farmers market shoppers will pay $3 to $5 for a bundle of fresh bulblets. The plants propagate themselves, so you're looking at essentially free reproduction once established. A single mature plant produces 8 to 12 bulblets. Plant that at $3 to $5 each. Multiply that by however many plants you have. You're looking at serious income from something that literally grows itself. Egyptian walking onions are incredibly hardy. They self-propagate. They take up relatively little space. The market exists because they're unusual enough to be interesting, but practical enough to be actually edible. You could be selling bulblets at farmers markets. You could be selling starts online. You could be supplying restaurants that want unusual garnishes and ingredients. The plant does most of the work. The reason these aren't everywhere is simply that most people have never heard of them. But once people know about them, they want them. It's the onion that proves sometimes the most unusual plants are the most memorable and profitable.
These 15 plants represent something bigger than just money, though there's definitely money. They represent a fundamental shift in how you can think about agriculture and wealth building. Instead of competing in commodity markets where margins are razor thin and you're one of millions, you could be one of maybe a dozen people in your region growing these plants. Most of these can grow in greenhouses, small gardens, containers. You don't need massive capital investment. You can start small and scale. You don't need to compete with industrial agriculture because you're not in that game. What you need is knowledge, which you now have, and the willingness to serve markets that everyone else is ignoring. The beautiful part? These plants got overlooked not because they're not valuable. They got overlooked because they don't fit the industrial agriculture model. They require attention. They serve niche markets. They reward quality over quantity. And that's exactly what makes them perfect for someone like you. If you're thinking about starting your own specialty crop operation, even on a small scale, you now have 15 legitimate options. Pick one, pick 3. Start where you are. Start with what grows in your climate. Now, hit that subscribe button. If you found this video helpful, if you learned something you didn't know before, subscribe and comment below. Which of these 15 plants blew your mind? Which one are you most likely to grow first? I read every single comment, and I genuinely love hearing which plants resonate with you. The money's out there. It's literally growing in backyards right now. The question is, will you be the one growing it? Let's go.